Are you considering divorce? Are you dealing with it now? Are you on the other side and not sure what comes next? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show with your host, Lisa C. Decker.
Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you back here today. I'm Lisa Decker, and I am the host of the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show. We're so excited to have you here today. I am a real estate collaboration specialist in divorce and a certified divorce financial analyst. And we have seen the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, the good, the bad, and the ugly of divorce over many years. And that's what this show is about, helping you prevent those problems. I want to introduce my executive assistant and co-producer of the show, Marcella Kripe. She's going to introduce our guest today. So Marcella, tell us what we've got on tap today.
Absolutely. This week, we're continuing our real estate theme with our guest, longtime Divorcetown USA member, Pam Evans. Pam is an associate broker with Century 21 Results in Cumming, Georgia. She has been a licensed realtor since 2009 and has the RSCD designation, just like Lisa, real estate collaboration specialist in divorce. Pam is also a certified negotiation expert, and she holds several other designations. Pam has built a successful referral-only business and has a great passion for helping her clients accomplish their real estate goals. So Pam's family now includes, besides her 2 adult sons and a wonderful daughter-in-law, an adorable 1-year-old grandson that we love following on social media. Thank you, Pam, and welcome to the show. We're very happy to have you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, Pam, congratulations on the grandson. He's adorable and isn't having a grand. So, there's been a lot of talk about what's going on in the real estate market, what's ahead. What can you tell us about the outlook, where we are now, where the trends are setting? Is this a good time to buy or sell? Can you fill us in on some of that hot topic for this moment?
Absolutely. The real estate market is always interesting. You're probably aware that for the past 18 months or so, it's been an excessively strong seller's market where most listings have been receiving multiple offers and sometimes selling 10 to 20% over list price. And that was wonderful for sellers. It was difficult for buyers. It was very frustrating for buyers, but it was a unsustainable pace. It wasn't really healthy. A lot of people have gained a lot of equity over the past few years, which is terrific. But now there's been a shift. It basically started in early June, where buyers have started pulling back a little bit due to the rising interest rates. More sellers have been ready to list. So we're having more inventory. So the supply and demand imbalance is starting to equalize a little better. It is still a strong seller's market, but more buyers can participate now because there's much more on the market to choose from. And it's important for buyers to understand and speak with a good lender that the difference in monthly payments on an interest rate increase is not as drastic as people suspect it would be. And we're still well below the 50-year average of what interest rates are. Over 50 years, the average is about a 7% interest rate. So yes, the 3s was absolutely wonderful, but the 5s is still well below average as well. So it is a wonderful time to buy a house, and there's more to choose from. Does that answer the question?
Yes, and it puts a good perspective on it as well, because I think people have been frozen for a while or felt locked out of the market, and to say that this is still a good market, you haven't missed out, is encouraging for people who may have
Absolutely.
felt that way. So
housing is something people will always need. People will always need to sell a home for a new myriad of reasons, and people always need to buy. So it's a healthy industry to invest in because you need a place to live, and it's far better to pay into your own asset than throw money out the window on rent. although some people need to rent and that's perfectly fine. But as soon as you can pay into your own asset and build equity in your own home, you'll reset your trajectory for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I definitely agree. Sometimes in divorce situations, renting for a little while until you figure out where you want to go, or maybe you couldn't qualify right away to buy
Absolutely.
something. You need to work on your credit, or you needed to have shown a number of payments being made to you in order to
Absolutely.
qualify. So there are times that renting makes sense, but absolutely, I agree with you. Real estate is a fabulous investment, and always has been, always will be, and it has its ups and downs, just like the stock market. But we want to make sure that people are investing into their own homes, and rather
Right.
than paying off someone else's mortgage like their
Right.
landlord.
And buy smartly. Unfortunately, there's a lot of buyer remorse out there because buyers got caught up in the whole, oh my God, I need to buy a house. And they made panic offers, and they made offers on homes that weren't necessarily good for them for long term. They just got caught up in the competition. So things settling down and pulling back a little bit. I'm not at all saying things are crashing. That is absolutely not happening. And there's also not going to be a wave of collapse like there was 10 years ago, because people have record equity in their home. So there are many good dynamics that are happening right now.
Oh, that's good to point out, that this is not another scenario like what we all experienced about 10 years ago. Yes.
Yep.
So in other words, the market is just rebalancing itself. We have, I understand, tighter credit standards so that those subprime loans which were the problem last time, are not the problem this time. And people have equity. So, they're less likely to walk away from a loan and foreclose on a home. They're going to try to sell. And also, is there more building going on? It seems like everywhere you look, we have construction of some sort going up, which is helping in the supply and demand equation.
It is, and new construction is still underway, and there have been, you've probably heard, so many delays because of the supply chain. So new construction closings have been pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. And some builders, unfortunately, built in an escalation clause. Some builders did that, meaning that when we're a month out from closing, approximately, we'll let you know what the final purchase price is.
Oh,
and that,
my.
You can see that that would be upsetting to some people. But a lot of the bigger builders have been sticking to their price. It just had some more delays. But I think new construction is going to start to slow down a little bit, because there's resale inventory to be had, and builders certainly don't want to build and then hold inventory.
That makes sense. See why it's important to have a realtor who understands the market, the trends, the history, someone who can guide you to make sound decisions when you're looking for something and making a purchase as important as your home. And so we are really grateful to have Pam Evans, who has a wealth of experience and knowledge here today, to share these kinds of things with you. These are the questions that you need to be asking no matter where you live in the country. What are the trends here? Maybe it's a good time to buy, maybe it's not, but you want to stay with someone who can carry you through the long haul and get with you when you're having a tough time and when you're doing well, and help you through all of those peaks and valleys in your lifetime. Same thing with an investment advisor. And, these are the kind of things that we want to bring to you here. So Pam, if it's still somewhat of a seller's market, I understand it's not as hot as it was, but how does staging come into play? I know that you helped me with staging on my home, and it was a magnificent thing that you did. And I was so surprised. Some of the tiniest things that you suggested really had a big impact on how my home looked when it came time to sell. So are you still recommending staging? Is it necessary in this market?
Even through the extreme sellers market, I have staged every house that I've listed. And having a marketing background, I want to be able to control the marketing process of any listing that I have. So I absorb the marketing expenses, including having my stager come in and we'll hang up some artwork, put some sweet stuff on the kitchen counters and the bathroom counters and things like that. Little attractive touches really make a difference, because if you think about your prospective buyer, the first impression of your home is they're looking at photos. So I definitely cater to the camera. So every shot conveys information about the home, but also has an emotional appeal, which is very important. So I never abandoned that strategy during the extreme seller's market. And I certainly will continue to do so, because it's now more important than ever. If you're listing your home and there are other similar homes on the market in the similar geography, the similar number of bedrooms, that's your competition, which is fine. But you want to rise above the competition. And that is, staging has a lot to do with that. How you present the home, how it conveys living in it, using professional photography, all of that makes a difference in the marketing of the home. And it's imperative that you work with a professional who will explain those reasons as to why you're doing that. So even before we get to the staging part, I always try and meet with clients as early as possible and suggest that they declutter. And if we need to really make a noticeable impression, it's often, if we need to make a change in a home, it's often paint or paint color or freshening up the look. I always ask people, just leave everything off the walls. We'll take it from there, because that's where we can create our palette of, we're presenting the home to prospective buyers. And it's usually the next generation after you, if you've lived in the home for 20 years or so.
Does that make sense? Too. It does. And it makes me think of, especially for those who are going through divorce, and it's possible that their marital home is going to be the largest piece of equity
Yes.
that they may be dividing, for example, if they decide to sell it. And so I can see how that would be super important, because, you know, that's something that both spouses are going to walk away with. And so of course they would want to get the maximum value.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a seller say to me, no, I don't want to sell for top dollar. So it's how we are going to get there. And every home is different. Every circumstance is different. Some people have a little bit of money to invest in preparing the home. Some don't. And doesn't matter what the situation is, we will get the best result out of that home by doing some preparatory work. So before it hits the market is where the hard work is, but it'll then present well. But yes, particularly when you're splitting a marital home, the effort that goes into decluttering and perhaps a freshened, lightened paint color, taking out some of the furniture. It seems almost empty home when you remove some 30% of the furniture, but it makes the home appear much larger. And that's all of those efforts will make a considerable difference in the bottom line. And a good realtor can help you get to that point. A lot of people say, well, the market's so good, I'm just going to try and sell it on my own. That's fine, but you don't recognize necessarily the importance of a lot of nuances all combined together, how to negotiate, how to discern which is the best offer. It's not always the highest offer. It's so many dynamics go into what makes a great offer for a home, that's where you can really get yourself tripped up. And last thing you want to do is have a closing fall apart just before you close.
That's too much pressure on top of the pressure of a divorce. You want
Correct.
that to go smoothly. You want someone to guide you through it, take care of the hiccups that may happen along the way, know the things to prepare for that you may not
Anticipate.
know. Yes.
Anticipate where you could possibly have problems and avoid them in the first place.
And
it's all doable.
The same kind of concept that we talk about in getting a divorce,
Mhm.
making sure that you're working with a team of professionals who can guide you through the problem areas so you don't experience those problems, or you minimize them as much as possible and make the process as easy as possible. And that's what we're talking about here today with your real estate matters, your marital home and any rental property that you may have. People have lots of different things that they come to us with, but we always recommend that they work with a professional realtor such as Pam. So Pam, put these glasses back on. Does a realtor cut into people's profits, and where does the best value? I know we've talked a lot about the things that you can do as a professional, but where is the greatest value versus a do-it-yourselfer? And, does it cut into the profits? People just don't really always understand how a realtor works.
A realtor should, I try to explain to people, I usually pay for myself because of the guidance that I'll provide. And that's everything from preparing the home and the physical appearance of the home to understanding what the market conditions are within a mile radius of your home, and where you should start with pricing, and what's the risk in starting too high. A lot of people figure, I'll just start up here because my neighbor, blah, blah, blah. And you're not always working with accurate information. Zillow's estimates, and I should just say you should be careful with where you get market value information, and usually a realtor can assess that very well for you and explain. And understanding, like I said, when we've had 10, 20, 30 offers on homes. It's very hard for sellers to determine beyond price why an offer is better than the other. It goes into inspection period and time period and earnest money and some of the special stipulations that people may write into contracts. All of that, your realtor represents your best interests and only your best interests. And if you don't have somebody advocating for you and explaining something that you may not be familiar with because you don't do it every day, you can really get yourself into a little bit of a world of hurt, and it will have cost you far more than any percentage of a brokerage fee would have. There's just a myriad of things that goes into a real estate transaction, and it's all good and it's all navigatable.
I wanted to ask you too about that. Sometimes for divorcing couples that decide that they're going to sell the home, or maybe they end up having to sell the home for whatever reason, they don't always get along
Right.
during the process. We do advocate, obviously, an amicable process wherever possible. So how can you help with that? Because I know you have done that, where you have kind of acted as a realtor neutral for couples that need to sell the home and maybe don't really want to talk to each other during the process. So how do you help them?
Paramount is to have each person feel that I hear them, that I am neutral, and that I'm interested in protecting each of their best interests, that I'm not going to take sides, that I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I'm going to be just calm, objective, and assure them that my goal is to get top dollar for their home as smoothly as possible, which will be in each of their best interests. If I give any sort of indication that I favor the other, that would obviously backfire. So it is very important that I just be the calm business person and give advice in the best interest of selling the home as quickly as possible, usually for the highest price as possible. And once you instill confidence and show both parties that you're sincere in that initiative, they'll trust you. And you just have two sets of communications. Here, Jim, I need you to blah, 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 blah. Here, Judy, and just make sure all the paperwork is done and make sure that each party is understanding what they're signing. That's very critical, obviously, but it's all doable. You just got to be calm and neutral and feel the pain that they're going through and get them through it.
And,
Does
you
that
know, I'd
answer
like,
the question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
I'd like you to also point out, Pam, about the RCSD, the Real Estate Collaboration Specialist in Divorce, and why that sets you apart from other realtors and how you help people at another level.
Absolutely. I have been through a divorce, and I wonder how my transaction would have been had I not had good real estate understanding, but how many things you need to be aware of. If you're going to sell the marital home, if one is going to refi the other one out, and this gets a little bit into the lending, but you always have to understand where things are with homeowners insurance, where things are with the loan and the refi. And if you have that knowledge that the RCSD designation offers, it's just you have more depth of awareness of the divorce process and what sort of things the attorney or the divorce needs, and each party's attorney or the collaborative attorney. If you are unfamiliar with all that, you don't know what you don't know, and you could really inadvertently hurt one or both of your clients, and that's something you obviously never want to do.
That's right. And holding that designation as well. I will tell you that, things are never as simple as they seem on the surface. There's always underlying issues, and you want to work with somebody who understands the underlying issues of your particular situation and divorce overall. And that's why I'm so grateful that we have this community of Divorce Town and
Yes.
specialists in each of these sub areas, because each of them does have particular things that are different from the regular market, whether it's lending, whether it's real estate, whether it's financial matters or legal matters. You want a specialist in divorce in that industry. It is important.
Well, my goal is to preserve home ownership for both parties, because obviously it's a financial blow to no longer have a community income. But if you can do the process properly, allow each person to move on as successfully as possible, financially as possible, and be able to reestablish home ownership, because it's such a useful tool over your lifetime. So preserving that for people, not letting their credit or anything derail, and certainly ideally having enough for a down payment on the next property.
We do want to set them up for success. That's right. Everyone listening, we want you to be successful in the next chapter of your life. So make sure you're working with professionals who have that information, that experience, and that knowledge to help you make those sound decisions.
We just have a couple more minutes, so I did want to ask you one of these questions, Pam, is what types of questions should the client be asking when they're looking for a realtor or someone that they're going to have to sell their home? So what should they be asking you or whoever they're looking for?
Certainly, if you're going through a divorce and you're having a less than amicable situation, I would always ask, are you familiar with the divorce process? Have you helped other couples who are divorcing with the sale of their home and eventual purchase? And how does that all work? And you want somebody who speaks with some confidence and some calmness, because the last thing you need is another emotional injection into an already difficult process. You can ask, how do you handle communication? I usually have to overcome, well, I used a realtor a few years ago and I saw them twice and I never heard from them. People always have stories like that, and that's not the norm. So you want to assure people, you want to ask, or what's your style of communication, and what's your style of keeping in touch with people that have looked at the home, and how do you work with the other agent, and what can we do to make this smooth? And if your realtor can have good, solid answers that make sense, as opposed to, I don't know, I just want to list your home. My goal is not to list a home, it's to help you sell your home based on what your objectives are. So there's a distinction right there. I don't want a whole bunch of listings. I would like to be able to help you accomplish your goal and get it sold. Nobody wants to just list their house. they want to sell their house. And what sort of steps will you do to market my home? Do you use professional photography? Will you do any sort of staging? Will you have an open house? What are the pros and cons of an open house? How will you use social media and SEO to market my property? And do you target realtors as well as buyers? And how do you go about doing that? So it's somebody who obviously should have good communication skills, good marketing skills, and good personable skills, because you want to like the person who you're on the same team with.
Exactly. I don't know if you heard that's our little buzzer that we're almost out of time.
That went so quickly.
I told you.
It always does. There's so much information. We could talk forever on this, but thank you, Pam. That was great. How can folks get a hold of you? Now, I want you to give them your Divorcetown profile, and everyone that we interview on this show can be found somewhere. Tell them where you are on the web and your phone number if you'd like.
Oh, sure. Well, definitely look me up on Divorcetown USA. I keep my profile up to date. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource, and Lisa and Marcella are terrific, and I really appreciate everything they've done for this community. You can Google "Hello Pam Evans Real Estate," and Google will take you to me. But I'm very interested in helping people and speaking directly, because everybody's circumstance is different. So I'm happy to have just a phone conversation with anybody that's got questions. So I'm not a high pressure sales girl.
So hello, Pam Evans.
Real
Google
estate.
Search.
Hello, Pam Evans Real Estate.
Okay. And also divorcetownusa.com. Look for Pam Evans under the real estate section.
Under Georgia. Yeah.
So this was a great interview. Thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Always our pleasure, Pam. Now I look forward to seeing you at an upcoming event. I'm sure we'll be connecting. Yay. Marcella, do you want to tell us about what we have coming up next week and some of the resources that we have for folks?
You got it. Absolutely. So we're going to take you first to the Divorcetown Roadmap. For those of you at the beginning of the process or not sure where you want to start, this will help you. It's available at divorcetownusa.com. This is a free resource to people who need this. You can start at various places as long as you avoid that bottom right-hand corner. We want to make sure that you are not having a sanity-sucking, money-sucking divorce. We want you to have a calm, peaceful process as much as is possible during this emotional time. So go to www.divorcetownusa.com and download your free roadmap there. We also want to make you aware of a free divorce financial fitness kit that Lisa offers on divorcemoneymatters.com. So this is an actual worksheet that will help you get your documents organized. That includes an ebook and also 50 must-ask questions for an attorney for when you do get to that stage of the process.
We also don't forget the working spreadsheet, Marcella. That's one of my favorite pieces when we put that kit together, folks. There's an actual Excel spreadsheet with all the documents you need to gather, and it's there waiting for you free.
Thank you, Lisa. And also we want to let you know about the help group. This is a support group, the Divorce Help and Hope Support Group. It's available through meetup.com. Or you can go to divorcetownusa.com, go to the events section, and all of our upcoming meetings are also listed there. So you can RSVP either way, whatever's easier for you. We just want to make sure that you're getting the help and support you need through this process. Finally, what we have coming up next week, we're going to talk to another Divorcetown USA expert. This is a mental health professional. She is a parent educator, parenting coordinator, and mediator, Stephanie Robbins. And she's going to talk to us about how we can better communicate with educators and each other as our children head back to school. So we have lots of things coming up for you, and we want to thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Marcella. And I will tell you that the topics keep coming. If there's anything that you folks want to know about that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to us. Our emails, our phones are always open, waiting to hear from you on any subject matter that we can help you with. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And that's our show for now. So we will see you same place, same time next Tuesday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard.